In this video, we're going to cover the basics of Visual Studio. In order to start Visual Studio, go ahead and make sure we have VMware Fusion up and running. Make sure your Windows desktop, you can see it. And then go ahead down to the bottom left-hand corner, click the Start button, scroll down to the V's, and then choose Visual Studio. So once Visual Studio comes up, it will look like this. And this is kind of the basic default version of everything. And it is okay for now, but let's go ahead and make a couple changes. Actually, let me go talk about this start page real quick. So the start page right here is where you can start a new project. It also gives you some kind of quick tips and the news that's going on for it. Not all that useful, but if you want to, it's kind of a nice way to click new project and kind of launch yourself to it. On the right-hand side, we have a Solution Explorer and Team Explorer. These are going to be useful, but not right now at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and click the button at the top right-hand corner of it. It looks like a push pin, and that is the auto hide that will shrink them down to the right-hand side over here. That way we can click on them, they'll pop out, and when we need them, we can actually utilize them. The other side is the toolbar, so that is the left-hand side, so you can click on that in case you need some tools. But all in all, that's the basic layout of Visual Studio. In order to start a new project, we're going to click the File and New, go over to Project, and there will be another video about this as well, so just kind of rushing through it a little bit right here. And then we click on Visual C#, Console Project, and here we name our application. I'm just going to call this one Test Application. All right, and then we're going to hit OK in the bottom right-hand corner. There's only one more thing I actually wanted to show you on how to utilize this, and this is going to be the error window. The error window, it pops up eventually, and it helps you when you actually have something wrong in your code. The other thing that is going to be over here is the properties. You can either go ahead and auto hide that as well, which shrinks back over here, or you can actually just grab in between these two windows and you cut the kind of double arrow icon, left mouse click and hold when you get that double arrow, and you can actually drag it if you want a bigger working space or if you don't want to see the properties menu. Okay, up to you, completely up to you. I'm just going to auto hide it now just so it's down here in the corner. The other thing I wanted to show you is errors. Once we get farther into the code, this will make a lot more sense, but an error can come up at any given time, and when it does, it will actually be highlighted in red and squiggly. Okay, let me go ahead and pull up an example that would have an error or that we can possibly make an error for it. So again, this code is going to be a little bit complex for what we're doing now. Completely okay, but we're going to get back to it in a minute or two. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a variable, and just so you can kind of get the hint of it, I'm going to put int, and I'm going to put test variable equals, and inside of here, I'm just going to go ahead and put a text string. This is wrong, by the way. So a text string and a semicolon, because an int is an integer or a number, and a text string is not a number. So that's why, if you notice, it's giving you this red squiggly line underneath. Now, if you take your mouse and you highlight over it, it's going to give you the error message, and it says it cannot implicitly convert type string to an integer. It basically says, hey, I can't convert a string to a number. It's like trying to say, convert the word cats to a number 5. I have no idea what that means, right? Because nobody does, because the computer can't figure it out. If by chance you don't see the squiggly line, when you go to run this code under the debug and then start without debug, it will actually give you the error message. And it will pop up here in just 1 minute for us. Maybe. And here we go. So this says, there were build errors. Would you like to continue and run the last successful build? If you ever get this, click no, okay? Because you are not running the current one. You're running the last successful build, which is going to be completely wrong. So click no, and what happens next is this error list pops up. And this is going to be extremely handy because it's actually going to tell you what the errors are. And it tells you what line the error is in. So this is going to be great for trying to troubleshoot our code. Now, the reason I'm telling you this before we actually do any coding is because when you're first starting off coding is when a lot of errors come up. And The best thing you can do is anytime if you get an error is literally Google it. There is a ton of stuff online about C#. Just put C# and the description cannot implicitly convert type string to an int, or whatever that actually says, and you will definitely find the answer. However, if you can't, that's when you would contact your lab advisors for more help, and you can do that in the FSO section about getting help under the Slack as well. Okay? Those are basically the only things. Oh, I want to show you one more thing. If you do something correctly, like say I do type in a number here, like 45, right? And so then, oops, I have to get rid of that. Okay. Then notice it gives you no errors, but it does give you one warning. Okay. And the warning is the little exclamation point. And you'll notice over here that if you have a little warning, it turns green as well. So the problem with this one is it says, hey, you have a variable that is assigned, but you never actually use it. So it's like creating something and then never touching it again, right? So in order to fix that, we'll just use it somehow, and you'll learn about this in a bit, but it's just a console.writeLine, which basically all it does is put it out so the user can actually see it. And all I'm going to do is put the test variable in there. Now, once I have a valid code, notice those errors and warnings go away. So we're great, we're ready to launch it, and when we launch it, and we'll have a whole entire video about how to launch it as well, then we get this little DOS prompt that pops up, and this will actually show us, and then it's 45. There is one other weird thing, and it gives you this kind of error message at the top. If you actually Google it, it basically is saying, hey, I can't use the virtual application folder, which is where I'm storing all my stuff because I want to share it between my actual Mac and PC. So I just kind of leave it for now, but basically it just defaults to your Windows directory because it can't actually use it. We can always change that later, but in all the videos it's in there because I know most of you guys won't try to fix it, so I didn't really try to fix it either. But for now, as long as you kind of look past it, you will be fine in all of your other videos.